Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Joy Renee, intuitive, and I'm here to help you on your awakening journey. I am one opinion and voice out of many. Please take it or leave it. Welcome back to another episode of MiVidaLoca. And real quick, my intro. MiVidaLoca is my life story. This is my side of the story with the direction of my higher self and guides. I will be discussing topics and scenarios that might be triggering or concepts that you may not agree with. I encourage you to simply take what resonates and leave the rest for someone else. I do not judge. And I'm in no competition with anyone. I hope we all make it. I hope to help as many people as possible. That is my intention. Real quick, I did start my Ascend to Freedom Masterclass. It's open to anyone that feels lost or something's changed, something's not right. You may feel like you're having a nervous breakdown and you're just not sure what to do, who to talk to, who to go to. That's where I step in. I'm here for you. Okay? I understand. And this masterclass is tailored to meet your needs. Okay? You will work one-on-one with me. Right now, I don't know how many slots I'm going to have available in my first class. And it's going to be 11:11 each step. There's 12 steps, which comes out to like $133, or you could just pay for all 12 steps at once for $77.77. And so if you want more info on that, please check the description box below. All right. So it's my intention to share what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. And I left off leaving Crossroads and going into sober living, which was like the best thing I ever did. And I just started living life on life's terms. I started learning how to live my life. But real quick, I did want to backtrack a little bit. While I was at Crossroads, it wasn't all bad, okay? I learned a lot. And they had, at the time, Pastor Maddox was the pastor there. And it was non-denominational, and he was absolutely gifted and anointed with spirit. And he helped change my life. He took us, well, not everyone actually, just me and a couple other girls with him to another church where they were doing some special service, and where we lay hands on people and we, call out their ailment, whatever it is, whether it's greed, lust, we just happen to call it out. And I learned how to lay hands on people under religious pretenses. So I learned how to, back then, manipulate basically energy. And at the time, it was called calling out demons, I guess. Attachments is what I would consider it today. So I was basically calling out attachments and cutting those cords. And that's basically what we were doing while laying hands. So that's what laying hands does. In a religious sense, it actually is separating the attachment. Okay, so basically I learned how to call attachments out. This is back then. So I've been prepared for this type of work for a long time. I have been learning how to, clear energy and lay hands on people, heal, and all of that for quite a while. I started that a long time ago. In fact, I started tarot early in my, when I was still on Lime Street too. Which I think didn't even mention that, but that's okay. So I learned how to lay hands way back in 2000. And yeah, that was an important step for me. At the time, that was one of the Easter eggs I had left for myself. It was a puzzle piece in this giant million piece puzzle of my life that I've been trying to piece together and figure myself out. Yeah. And where I had left off, I know we had left off on healing, because your body is a powerful healing machine, and it was built to heal if we don't interfere a lot. But we do. We do. All right. So, at the beginning of 2004, I was still working in Banning, and I had a boyfriend, and I was renting a room from Dee and Rachel and going to meetings. I had graduated, so I was kind of just living life. We would go to the beach at night. We were always just doing things. I was constantly going different places. I would come out here to the desert, go to AA meetings. I went to San Diego. They used to have these AA like retreats where a whole bunch of people would meet from all over the country or all over the world in some instances, and hang out with other sober people. And we'd have big dances and DJs, and it was just a lot of fun. And I got to learn how to live my life without drinking and partying, staying out till 2 a.m., but not drinking, not smoking, not doing drugs, not doing anything bad, not selling myself. Learned how to live on life's terms and hanging out with people that were doing the same thing as me, which was staying sober, not doing drugs, not drinking. I ended up being the pretty girl sponsor for some reason. And so the girls would come to me, and I would work the steps with them. And they would come to me for a lot of things. And I was really grateful for that time to give back a little bit what I was given. I still had a long way to go too, so I wasn't perfect by far, But it got to the point where I had been working, and I just felt like, I don't know, something needed to change. I felt like things needed to shift. I felt a shift, I just felt a calling, like things needed to change. And I didn't really talk a lot about it, but my parents had lived in a mobile home the whole time I was at Crossroads. They never moved or anything. But in 2001, they up and moved to South Dakota. My mom and dad, and they took my daughter Becky, and they moved to South Dakota. And I stayed here, and I was trying to just make it, trying to stay sober, and taking care of myself. I didn't really depend on anyone. It was all me. And it just got to the point where, I wanted to go visit them. So it was 2004. I believe it was April of 2004. I went and visited, and I bought a plane ticket, and I flew out to South Dakota to visit. And while I was there a week or 2 weeks, 1 or 2 weeks. And I absolutely fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with it, you guys. It's absolutely gorgeous. If you've never been to Rapid City, South Dakota, that's where Mount Rushmore is. Okay. And it's about 40 minutes from there. And it's absolutely blessed country. It's just God's country. And the Black Hills are magnificent. And I would highly recommend that to anybody. So I go there, I visit, and I fall in love with it. I was going to meetings there too, found out a couple meetings, and I went, and I was doing the good thing. Came back, and I just wanted so badly to go, and I just up and left, you guys. Decided to move to South Dakota. And my parents were there, and so I went ahead and went. And I moved. I flew my dad out, and my dad and I drove back in my little Celica, and off we went. It was amazing. I got to experience driving across the country sober and living life, seeing this beautiful country. And so we left, I believe, we left on the 1st, June 1st, 2004, and we drove. I took my time. And we drove out the 15 up into through Vegas, out into Utah, and I got there on the 3rd. We arrived going through Laramie and then coming in the back way up 25 into the Black Hills. Absolutely gorgeous country. If you have never taken a road trip there, I highly recommend. It's life-changing up there. And that's where the Lakota are. It's very spiritual country. It's blessed country. Like I said, it is spiritual country. It's God's country. It really is. It has a way of, holding you. And I was there, let's see, I was there until 2014. And when I first moved there, I had no job lined up, but I was able to stay with my mom and dad. So I was temporarily staying at my mom and dad's house and getting to know Becky, getting to know my mom and dad, adjusting to new life. And I ended up getting a job at Golden West Technologies, and it was actually doing internet tech support, which was along the lines of what I learned at CEI, which was great. So I was using actually knowledge that I learned. And I got to be honest with you, I had the interview and it was awful. It was awful. I thought there's no way I'm going to get this job, but I had the job before I got home. They called and left a message for me that I got it. So I went ahead and took the job. And I learned how to do internet tech support. And I felt like it was such a good job. The one manager was just he was super arrogant. And a lot of techie people can relate because, honestly, if you don't have testicles, it's kind of hard to get into the techie field. I'm one of very few females that even tried to get into that there, but I did it anyway. And it just got to the point where his personality was just too much for me, and it was intimidating. And because of that, I kept making mistakes, or they would just catch silly mistakes. Silly mistakes, guys. And I felt like it was just too much. So I asked to move from the internet tech support side to the answering service side, where Kate was and Gan and other ladies that I've known, because I was one of 15 technicians that were hired at Golden West when they first started having internet tech support. I was one of the very few technicians that started. Jim Har now, at least if he's still the general manager, all these people, I know them. In fact, they said I could have a job if I moved back there, but I don't know. I might. I was thinking about it, but anyways, it was very interesting. And while I was there, I ended up having my boyfriend move out there. We went a year apart, and then he ended up moving out there. And when he decided to move out there, I started buying furniture and just saving. My parents' front room looked like a storage unit because I basically was using him for a storage unit. So I had all my couch and my sofa and my TV stand and all the stuff, so that when he moved, we could just move into our apartment. And I got all that lined up. I was working, so it was no problem. Got my very first apartment. I believe I was 26 years old. That was my very first apartment. That was actually mine, and I was so proud. It was freaking life on life's terms. It was amazing. While I was at Golden West, I ended up trading in my Toyota because of the weather up there. Of course, it's snow and ice, and so I wasn't comfortable having my Toyota, and I ended up getting a Ford Explorer. And I honestly had that Explorer for 9 years, and I paid it off and just kept it. I just kept it until the door handle actually broke, and I ended up, I had it till it wore out. I really did. And I lived up there for a very long time, and I got to be honest, I went to meetings for probably the first 2.5 years. I was there, and then I just stopped going to meetings. And everyone that I knew told me that if I stopped going to meetings, that I would go out and I would start using again. And I was always terrified of that, So I always had that in the back of my mind of, I'm never using again. I'm never fucking using again. And I did the steps basically at home and 10, 11, and 12 are maintenance steps. So I basically was doing steps 10, 11, and 12 because I did them all with the sponsor already, And 10, 11, and 12 are maintenance. So I just continued to do those things. And if I was wrong, I would promptly admit it. I prayed all the time. I continued my spiritual journey. I was working on myself. I was I was just taking care of myself. But, yeah, I was honestly doing my very best. And I definitely don't want to take anyone out there to be like, oh, okay, well, I don't need to go to meetings. No, you definitely do. Okay, even if you cut out on meetings, don't stop altogether. I think I would have benefited from continuing to go to meetings because of the camaraderie and the friendship. Because we do support each other in AA. There's a lot of friends in there. And AA is basically, Alcoholics Anonymous is a program for people who are desperate. Like, this is their last chance. So, I mean, it's a program of desperation, right? People who are going to die, or they feel like they're going to die if they don't go, right? Okay, that's the program of desperation. I mean, if you feel like you have another option, please take it, Anyways, I'm getting way off track over here. But that's okay, because you know what? That's why my guides are leading me in my talk. This is why I'm like listening to my higher self and how to talk to you guys, because my intention to help you. But I gotta be honest with you, I feel like that was one mistake I made, was not go to meetings at all, right? And the other was being complacent and not learning my lessons. I think that me stepping away from AA was a way of me not being accountable, in a way. So I stayed married. I actually got married to a person who I felt was not the right person, who I felt was not the one. I felt like the person was not the one, and I married him anyway. Huge mistake. All right? Don't ever do that to yourself, please. Please speak up. Don't ever do something that you feel in your gut is not the right thing to do. And I did it anyway. Right? Not right. No. It was awful, and we struggled a lot. I mean, the thing is, my ex was schizophrenic and bipolar, and he had stopped going to any kind of doctor, and he stopped taking any type of medication. So I had to deal with him, and I honestly did my best to help him, but he kind of made me his mother. And I know that those that are going to resonate are going to understand that. Like, he made me his mother, basically. I took care of him. I made it so I bought him a car. I paid all of their bills. I was the one that was working, and I was trying to go to school too. Sometimes I had 2 jobs. I was extremely hard worker, and I took care of him. And he had surgery and, on his head and everything, and I did take care of him to the best of my ability. But I forgot to take care of myself, and I forgot to put myself first. So I ended up being with him for about 10 years, and I got married in 2007. It was February 17th, 2007, and we ended up being divorced in October of 2012. Yeah, and I was with Joel already. I had 0 break in that. After that relationship, they overlapped kind of, and it was awful, you guys. It was like ballroom blitz in my living room, and I never want to experience that again. I do not want to see two dudes fighting over me. It's not something I really want to experience again. You know, and I was awful to him too. I was not a good person at that time. I was off doing my own thing. And Joel and I started talking in December 2011. And yeah, it was like sparks flying and, hey, you know, I remember you. Because I dated Joel when I was 15. Joel was who I was with when I delivered my daughter, even though he wasn't the father. He was at the hospital for me. In fact, Joel has been at the hospital 3 times with all 3 of my children, even though the first one wasn't his. So we go back. Like, Joel and I have some history, you know. And so because of that, I let my ex go. I was like, you need to go. And I told him what was going on. And it was harsh. It was rough because he was like, I don't know how to describe it, but he had to put all of his dependency on me. And like I said, it made me his mother. And I tolerated it. I was toxic by tolerating it. I had a part to play. See, it's never one-sided, because if you're in a long-term relationship, trust me, you have a part to play in the other person's behavior, and what you tolerate, you got to own that shit. So me, I did my best owning that shit, but honestly, I blamed a lot of stuff on him. A lot of stuff on him. And I was angry with him because he wasn't able to fulfill my needs. And that was really unreasonable of me. How can I be angry with somebody if they are not able to fulfill my needs, if I'm not expressing what my needs are? And why did I wait so long, right? Well, history does have a way of repeating itself. So anyways, I end up, my ex ends up having to go get help, stay in a hotel, and then he gets up and then he ends up taking the bus and goes back to California, which is where he was from. He's from California, and I brought him out to South Dakota, and he went back to California. And I ended up having Joel come from California to South Dakota. Yeah, it was pretty interesting, y'all. But that's how things shifted in 2012. And I know that I'm not the only person that shifted in 2012. If you go back and you just think about 2012, it's pretty... what am I trying to say? A lot of things changed for a lot of different people in 2012. Around 2012, I'll say. Anyways, so I got Joel February 1st, 2012. I got him on a bus. And it was kind of bad weather at the time. So he ended up getting on the bus, and he made it all the way to Denver, and ended up being stuck in Denver because of a blizzard. And I ended up just picking up and going and getting him. I got in my Ford, and I got gas, and I went. I think I left at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I went down and got him. And we ended up actually staying the night, and like having kind of a honeymoon get together party. I don't know. We were doing shots, and we got drunk, and we stayed in the hotel. It was so fun. We ended up getting a discount in this hotel because of the blizzard and him being on Greyhound. So we ended up getting a discount through Greyhound on this room, and we stayed 2 nights. And it was like a honeymoon for us, like a reunion. It was pretty freaking fantastic. It felt amazing because all of the love and all the feelings that I wasn't getting for like years. And it's really sad that it's because I felt like I was doing my duty. I was doing my job. Like, I was in my masculine energy, you understand? So I was doing my duty by taking care of my family. And, no. Okay? No. We need to be following our heart. The most important thing is to follow your heart, as crazy as that sounds, because it is. Your heart is crazy, but that's the one we're supposed to be listening to, especially if it lines up with your solar plexus. When your energy lines up, you can feel it inside of you. That's your energy. They call it Kundalini energy. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it the Holy Spirit. It is your energy that you feel inside your body. And that's your heart and your solar plexus. And you can feel them. You can feel it. I know you can. I have my entire life. Yeah, we had a lot of good times. You know, I don't want to go too deep into it, but when I first started talking to Joel, he was in a bad place. And I was in a bad place. You know what I mean? And we kind of looked at each other like maybe we could fix each other. But there was definitely feelings there. And I don't regret any day. I don't regret it. And some of the things that I did were harsh. But I have to understand that over time I've learned as far as karma goes. And, you know, what goes around comes around. Where you put out what you get back what you put out. Right? So the energy that he received was energy that he was putting out, okay? And I have to remind myself that too, because I could really just feel really guilty about some of the things that I've done in my life. I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of the things eat me up sometimes. You know, like one time I snatched a purse, like I can't give it back. That was like one of the more awful things I've ever done, and it was an awful lesson that we both had to deal with. For whatever reason, that person and I had a contract to have that experience. That's it. Nothing more. It might have even been just a tiff that we had from a previous life. Who knows? But the truth is that I was contracted to do that day. You know? And I can allow it to eat me up, but it also allowed me the opportunity to feel what it's like to be the villain, to be wrong, to be the bad guy. And I did not like that. I was like, no, I do not want to be the bad guy. It ate me up. That ate me up for decades. I let that eat on me and eat on me and eat on me because it bothered me so bad. You know? And that one with my sponsors, you know, when I was working the steps, I was as thorough as I could possibly be at the time. Right? When I worked my fourth step, that's literally making a category of yourself and all of the shit that's happened to you. Like from the time you can remember to present time. You know? And in it's extensive. 4 steps can be extensive, but it's worth it. It is so worth it because you're getting all of that shit out of yourself and out on paper so you can process it. Because it doesn't really need to stay in you. This is shit you need to get rid of. And that's why I created the steps for regular people, right? Because it's a way to just get rid of all the stuff that bothers you, that eats at you. And you give it to me and we can just process it and get rid of it. You know? But anyways, I'm not perfect, you know? And the one thing that I've been brave enough to do is to continue to be accountable for my behavior when I'm wrong. When I feel like I've been the bad guy. It's okay. I know that I'm not the only person that's been the bad guy. I am not the only person on this planet that has made mistakes. I'm not the only person on this planet that hurt people and have regrets about it. Right? This is why we process our stuff. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm telling my story. I'm literally telling my side of the story so you can see that I have not been the upstanding citizen, the saint, or whatever it is. I don't know what people look at. I don't know how you see me. It's not my business, right? But I am here to put myself out there so that I can help you. However that is. Excuse me. So, I get Joel. We're in Denver. We spend the night. We're having a blast. We're having a reunion, you know. And honestly, it is like a honeymoon. It really is. I half expected to get pregnant, which is kind of funny because I was with my ex for 10 years and never got pregnant. I tried though, because I really did. I knew, like, it was prophesied to me at Crossroads with Pastor Maddox. It was prophesied that I would get pregnant again. And I tried for 20 years. I had my first daughter at 15. I did not have another daughter until I was 35, right? In fact, she was born 2 days after my birthday, and I was 36. So, yeah, that happened. You know, it was prophesied to me. But it was like a honeymoon with Joel when we first got back together, and it was like, I don't know, it was really magical, you know? And I brought him to my mobile home. And immediately we ended up having to move out of the mobile home. I'll leave that part out, but we ended up I had to sell my mobile home. And I think that happened because of my karma with my ex, right? I hurt him, so I got hurt, and I had to get rid of my mobile home. And so I did. And we ended up basically staying with my mom and dad. And at the time, I had worked at Golden West for 5 years. I ended up losing that job in 2009. And I'll backtrack for just a second because of my work history. But real quick, I went from Golden West to unemployed to working at DirecTV. And I ended up quitting there because they were just completely nitpicky. And I will get into a lot of this in a different episode. I'm going to get into a lot more details in future episodes. So I just wanted to let you know that. But right now I go and I'm at DirecTV. And I'm there for a while. But I'm just not happy, you guys. I wasn't happy sitting behind a desk for 8 hours. It just wasn't my cup of tea. And I started working in retail after that. And that, I found, was when I was the happiest. I was the happiest working retail, running around, doing different jobs, helping out with cashiering, but mostly being on the sales floor and putting products out and helping customers and cleaning and what they call zoning. I loved it, and I was there for a few years. And the only reason I left is because when Joel first came out, I got a job offer that was in Custer. And it was at the courthouse. I got this job offer at the courthouse because of my experience with Golden West, as well as my certifications from Computer Education Institute, my Microsoft certifications. And I was so proud to have that job. Like, I was working at the courthouse, you know. But unfortunately, they didn't want me after they ran my fingerprints. It was pretty disappointing because I was already working and being trained for my position when they told me I couldn't take the position, or they weren't able to hire me due to my past, even though I was able to get I had, felonies, burglary, forgery, right? Not the best charges to have. So because I had burglary and forgery, even though I had my guilty verdicts overturned and it was changed to not guilties, so all of it was not guilty on my record, they still didn't hire me. I was absolutely devastated. And what sucked is I had left Target overnight for the job. Because who wouldn't? Who wouldn't go from Target to Custer County Courthouse, right? And so I did, and so I couldn't go back. I couldn't go back to work for Target, and it was awful. So that happened right when Joel got there, too. So, I mean, I did pay for my karma, you know, for being the bad guy. I did. I paid for my karma. I had to get rid of my mobile home, and that was awful. So when I got rid of my mobile home, I worked with people against my better judgment, and they never paid me. So I ended up getting a car from them. They gave me a Kia Rio, which is ridiculous. And I ended up giving it to my daughter. But anyways, it worked out. It worked out, you know. And I forgive and move on with everything that ever happened in my past. I don't carry a resentment or judgment on anybody because we all did everything that we needed to. And that's just how I look at it. I'm not going to hold a grudge against people. I'm just not. I was a bad guy too. So, there it is there. I had a part to play. They had a part to play. There you go. It evens the playing field because nobody's any better than anyone else, you know? We all have a part to play. And so we end up here, Rapid City, right? We're in Rapid City, staying with my mom and dad. And that was in 2012. And I ended up getting my divorce finalized October of 2012. And yeah, guess who gets pregnant? Yeah, guess who ends up, I started smoking weed too, and it's really interesting because I had been so terrified of using anything. So from December 10th of 1999 till, I don't know, sometime in 2011, I started to just, I was scared, but I would go out and have a couple drinks with my friends. And I did, and I found out that I didn't like it. I don't like alcohol. It turns my face beet red, and it makes me feel really hot. It's just uncomfortable. I don't like it. I just don't like it. So I have a drink every now and again, but it's just not for me. It's just not for me. So I basically got to check that off my list of I'm not afraid because I just don't like it. I literally have had the same bottle of vodka in my cupboard since 2020. Literally 2020. And I didn't buy it. It ended up being in one of my bags. I don't even know how I got it. It was when I was picking up groceries at Walmart. Anyways, I came home and there was a freaking bottle of vodka in my... Because I didn't fucking order that shit. No, thank you. I'm not interested. If I was going to order alcohol, I would have bought Angry Orchard. That's all I really care about. Or ale, you know, Red's Apple Ale. There you go. But anyways, so here I am, a little scared, but not quite, because I know I can take a drink and I don't even like it. So I was like, well, I bet I smoke weed. I don't even like it either. So I go with my friend, and I smoke a little weed for the first time in a very long time. And it was very fun. And we ended up watching 21 Jump Street, like the newest one. And it was hilarious, guys. Hilarious. That's how my husband got the nickname NASCAR, because when we drove home, he was going like 20 miles an hour. Yeah, that happened. And that was actually one of the best things that ever happened to me, because that happened and I was able to get pregnant. And I got pregnant right around 12/21 of 2012. That's about the time I got pregnant with Zoe. You know? I don't want to get too far into it at this point, so I'm going to stop here because, yeah, I can't just stop at Zoe because she's so special, and I had Zach right after that. So I want to wait and talk about that in my next episode. So if you're still here, I just want to say thank you, and put a butterfly down below in the comments so I can see it. And I love you. I'll talk to you guys soon. The best is yet to be.